Do you guys know what WeWork is? Really? Can you raise your hand if you can confidently give a definition that would please these people? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise them high so we can see. All right, so we have a lot of folks who do not know what WeWork does. What do you do?
So, just to start off, first of all, thank you for having us, and we're very excited to be here. And just an announcement we heard, we did make a list in this magazine of unicorns to bet against. And I think Andrew wrote that.
I knew that was coming.
Wrote that article.
Because my name was on it.
So I thought it's a good way to start.
Sure.
Good way to start, just to make it very interesting. So we have 83 locations globally, 30 cities, 12 countries, 3 continents. We build a community of creators. Our mission is to help our members create their life's work, and not just a living. But in much better words than me, my boss will share with you really what WeWork is.
Oh my God. Basically what we're trying to do is take the things that have really worked for us in our life, made us happier people, made us more successful people, and offer it out to others. The winning formula for us has been merging doing your passion, your mission, your life's work, your calling, while at the same time trying to use your work to benefit other people. And we found so far that when you bring those two things together, not only, luckily, thank God, some money comes, but at the same time you're fulfilled, you're happy, and you're really adding value to society.
So let's kind of bring it home a little bit. These are great mission, values for a company, but what actually is it that you do? Are you a co-working space? Are you a real estate company? Are you a technology company?
I feel that defining, a lot of times in companies you have to define exactly what you are. In today's world, to build a meaningful brand that's actually going to last for a long time and make a difference and do a lot more than just make money, not that making money is not very important also, you have to be a little bit of everything. We're a company that builds communities. We have our mission, our main thing that we do is curate and create culture. And to do that, you happen to need physical space. So for example, I just spent a very nice 2 days in Aspen. If you were to go in Aspen and take a building, take 2 floors, cut it up to smaller spaces, invite all the entrepreneurs that come here in the winter and the summer, say, hey, here's a great place to work where you'll be surrounded by like-minded individuals who all want to be part of something greater than themselves. All of them define success as more than just making money. This is a great place for you to work. And yes, maybe in New York you have a 100,000 square feet office on the top of a tower, but right there in Aspen, we all want to share the space together and all be part of something greater. So we take this, and it's a solution for the new work environment.
So you guys say that you're fulfilling a need, right? You've got a lot of customers, a lot of different kinds of customers. Could you talk about that a little bit? Let's try to ground this a little bit. Why do people come to you?
So we like to call them members, not customers. So if you can be any one of the above. If you're starting a business, you're one person, you're by yourself.
Sure.
It's a hard thing to do. Anybody here who started a business knows it's very difficult. First thing you need to, what is my business? Who is funding me? Where am I getting my sales? Who is going to work with me? There are 1,000 questions you need to ask. You come into WeWork, you take a space for $600 a month, and you're already part of a community. You have at least 1,000 other people around you that are ready to help, and because you're all part of the same thing, they're actually excited to be that, and that's on the smallest level. On the largest level, you might be Salesforce, you might be Facebook, you might be Dell, and you have HQs, headquarters all over the world. You have satellite offices all over the world. And you need a solution that's better than just the old way that people used to do it when they built a global business. So you might need us also.
They're coming to you for culture, do you think? Facebook, for example, very kind of well-known culture. I talked with Diane Green earlier about Google's culture. They come to you because they want different culture? Better culture?
So you use specifically Facebook, and the first thing, specifically about Facebook and Google, we believe both companies have great culture, and we're not in a position to say that we're here to deliver new culture for Facebook or Google. Saying that, there are a lot of other companies that the CEOs are not the founders anymore. It's been a long time since that company's culture has been revisited, and corporate America in general has a cultural challenge today. And you know it if you just need a churn of employees that are younger than 30, if you just saw all the different things that are happening in the different organizations, you would know that culture today in corporate America is a very big deal. Do we give you the culture? We can't, because if you don't have a mission-driven business, we can't create a mission for you. But if you have a mission-driven business, then we can help talk about it. We can help make sure that it's communicated not just through your words and not just to your investors, but also how does your space feel? What is it all about? Are you part of something greater than yourself? And that we can help large or small companies with.
And I felt that. So I visited you folks in one of your New York offices. You know, the culture of WeWork is pretty, the kind of culture that WeWork has on display is pretty well known. You know, you've got beer taps, you've got fancy offices, you've got small individual desks, you've got walled off glass desks. There's a lot of diversity in what you're offering these companies. Why wouldn't they just copy all of the aesthetics? Why wouldn't they install a beer tap in their hallway and put all glass offices? It's so in vogue, right? Yeah, let's open office the heck out of our company.
So I think the one thing is you're focusing a little bit on the physical, which is also very important, and a lot of time has been put into that. Our co-founder, Miguel McKelvey, who's a brilliant designer and architect, has helped really kind of mastermind what our spaces look like. But I think you have to take it back a few steps. Adam grew up on a kibbutz, Miguel on a commune with only moms. All the dads took off. And I grew up in New York. It's not as exciting, but kind of studying spirituality, Buddhism, yoga, what have you, my entire life. And it's the cross-section of our backgrounds and our interests that I think have kind of led to the ethos and mission of this company. And I think when members come in, they might be looking for free beer or coffee or an office or someone to collaborate with, but once they spend some time, they actually see that there's another energy that's happening there, which is leading to another level of fulfillment and success. And being able to lean on other people who will support you and who are rooting for you and who are working all hours of the night and who understand what it is to wear multiple hats and do multiple things and have many trades, I think that's creating something really meaningful for them.
Yeah, I know from band experience that free beer works really well, so
Free
that's
beer's
true.
good.
You know, but what do you tell your investors? You know, this is all great. This sounds fantastic, right? The perfect place to work. And yet, how do you attach a number to it? How do you attach a business model to it? You make real money. You are valued at, as my colleague said earlier, $16 billion. How much should culture be valued? 20 billion, 30, 50?
You know, there's no question, and I think some of the greatest founders, CEOs, executive groups in history always knew that culture came first. It's people, product, profit. You could try changing it around, flipping it on its head. It's not going to work. It might work for the short time, but first you invest in your employees, in your people, and that's where the culture comes from. Then those employees can take that and help you build the best product on earth. And then when you have those two things, that does translate itself to profits. You use the word valuation. I heard you guys with Dropbox before you pushed.
Sure.
There was a lot of discussion about valuation. By the way, big fan of Dropbox and think it's an unbelievable company. A value for a private company is what one person is willing to sell for and another person is willing to buy. Let's just make that clear. That's how private companies are valued. You could tell yourself other things, not accurate. That is how they're valued. A value in the public markets, now that becomes a different story. Now you have a much larger group of people that needs to choose to buy and sell. So you have slightly of more of a system. And yet you could look at two different companies that actually accomplish very similar things and have very similar top line numbers and bottom line numbers. And yet one company is worth 10x or 100x of the other. And what is it that makes a difference? It's the culture of that company, that product, how sustainable it is. I'm going to go back to mission. When you have a mission-driven company, you don't need to fight hard to hire your employees because all the citizens of the we generation want to work for a company with a mission. It's easier to sell it to your customers because members of this world today want to buy a product that has meaning and intention behind it, and everything about the company works better. And all of that comes together. It touches valuation. But we like numbers here. You guys used some numbers before. We will break through $1 billion in run rate sales next year, for example. So
okay.
we're doing companies growing very fast, both top line and bottom line and everything in between. And we're very minded to the bottom line while knowing that paying only attention to the bottom line is not what's going to deliver us the highest value, both personally, for our employees and for our investors in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, so you kind of, you don't think that the comparison is accurate between the public and private markets in that regard? Because I was looking it up and I was like, you know, $16 billion, what does that mean now, right? And I started looking up companies, okay, who has a market cap of some, it's way more than Xerox is today. It's way more than Symantec. It's way more than Harley Davidson. You guys are really worth more than Harley Davidson.
Those are some big brands.
Yeah.
Those are some big well-known
Big brands, big bikes. Yes.
You know, so I guess,
you want me to make it easy for you?
Sure,
okay.
make it easy.
Let's talk about the market. $140 trillion market, largest asset class by far. Not even one brand name that you can recognize in that asset class, neither in commercial real estate or residential real estate. So no one has ever decided to bring it all together and actually have a brand. It's a disconnected industry. And after everything I just said about how big this industry is, and we would just need a small piece, it's not even the industry where we're in. Right. We happen to need the real estate to actually build a community. And who here in this audience wants to be part of something greater than themselves, understands that treating other people the way you want to be treated is the right thing? I will bet everyone, actually.
Sure. All right. So you said some numbers yourself
I gave you
the
a few numbers, yes.
Yeah, and they were impressive. Clearly, you're growing quickly, yes? By several different measures. My question to you is, are you going too fast? You know? And I ask that for a couple of reasons. One, because you are growing very, very quickly and internationally. My second angle to that is, you know, we all know what's happened with, you know, the investment markets. Those have kind of slowed down a little bit. And what I'm having trouble reconciling is the speed at which you're expanding, and at the same time, you know, you had layoffs a little while ago. You paused hiring for a bit. How do I reconcile these two?
The first thing I would say is we're always making all our decisions based on the members, what is going to benefit them and what is going to work for them. So we would never make a decision to grow faster than their experience would be diminished in any capacity. That's the first thing. The second thing is the company, at the end of the day, to me, is mostly about people. Everything comes down to who are the people we're working with, who are the people we're collaborating with, what is their skill set, and what are their priorities in life. That is where we're really focused, is that everybody in every city, our community managers on the ground, and everyone we have working around the world understands the DNA and the mission of this company on a cellular level, is living it, and is bringing it out to people. And our members seem to be thriving and absorbing it at the same time.
To add to that, just to touch 2 points you said, there's definitely not a freeze hire in our company because we hire a lot of people every week. And our layoffs were focused, and we communicated that to our employees, and we communicated a little bit to the press because we didn't proactively, but we responded to the leak. And that in WeWork, you need to be a 10 professionally and a 10 culturally. It's something Rebecca speaks about a lot. And if you're not in both places, then it's not going to work with us in the long run. And part of our discipline as a growing company, we can't hire 10 to 30 people every week and tell you that we never make mistakes. That wouldn't be honest. We definitely do make mistakes. When I think of growth, though, and I think this is interesting for this crowd and it's the different way of thinking, is the demand big enough? Are there 1 million members for WeWork in the world? Yes, there's 1.2 billion millennials. There are 3 billion people that potentially could touch this way or that way. Can we get to 1 million members? I guarantee you we could get to it in 5 major cities in the US. So that number we would do about 12 billion in sales and about 4 billion in EBITDA. But that's not the only question I ask myself about growth. We're married, and we have 4 kids at home, and they're young. And when we choose to grow the business quicker, that also affects us. So are we as a couple and as a team ready for this? Are we committed to this together? Is this our life calling? And if we decide, so there's growth that's forecasted for 2017, that includes a lot of travel and includes a lot of commitment, Are we committed as a team? And if the boss says yes, and we're committed as a team, then the answer is go for it, because the demand, I can tell you right now, is greater than anything that we could fulfill.
So what's the lesson that you learned from that particular layoff? Because it was, 7%. It was a good chunk of the company, given all that. Because you're right, your company's bigger than it's ever been before. You've never been here before to make these decisions.
So the one thing I would say is, because we're looking for a cultural fit and a skill set fit, what's surprising is it seems like most of the employees that are still with us have supported the people we laid off, and to be honest, they're a part of the feedback loop. The employees are very involved in giving feedback about each other, and it's like a self-sustaining system. So I feel like it's been a very positive experience.
And one lesson, and I think it shows how transparent our culture is, after we did this, so every 2 weeks we speak to all the employees. I got in front of everybody. We spoke about the layoffs, and one of the employees raised his hand and said, Adam, I have a question. Do you believe that the way this was done, everybody at the same time, 7%, and not communicating it to us, the employees first, we heard about it through the press, was that the right way? And in front of everybody, I said, I 100% do not think it was the right way. I take responsibility for not doing it right. We're still learning. And our biggest lesson, every day in your company, you should ask yourself, are these employees a cultural fit? Are they a professional fit? Are they in the right place right now to be in this company? And by the way, you might hire someone who's a superstar, and for whatever reason, it has nothing to do with you or with them. Right now, it's not a fit. And when an employee and a company are not a fit, it's like a relationship. It's not a fit for both sides.
Sure.
So the big lesson is do this regularly, communicate better to the employees, give more feedback about how things are doing, But also, as a young company, don't be afraid to make the tough decisions because we're just learning and we're also allowed to grow and make mistakes.
Do you also consider that the incident in 2015 around the cleaners, you guys got a lot of press for that. New York and Boston, you had to deal with non-union and union workers and things. Was that also a lesson, would you say?
I'm going to let you take the cleaners.
So I consider the cleaners. I actually consider a win. We had a lot of challenges with different unions.
Yeah.
As you know, some of our peers in different similar categories in the sharing economy are also having a lot of challenges. From the beginning, we decided we'll approach this problem as a we, not as a me, which is what we talk a lot about. We spoke, we found solutions, we hired every single person into the company, we gave healthcare and equity to every single employee, we increased their pay by almost 25%, and if you want to do numbers, we increased our cost by $2 a foot. Take a number like 12 million square feet, which is a number will be somewhere early next year. That's 24 million. On a 20 multiple, you can do the math. On a 30 multiple, you can do the math. That's dollars right out of the bottom line. We believe that doing the right thing in the short term for those employees, for the cleaners, for those families, will end up being the right thing in the long term for all of us and for them.
I'm going to completely...
I just want to add one thing, which is that Adam obviously grew up in Israel. He did not come from wealth. He came here as an immigrant. He built everything from the ground up. I also just tend to be a very compassionate person. We're always thinking about the human beings, the human experience, and we know for a fact that if we're not treating people properly, it's not going to work on any level, and ultimately it won't even work in terms of cash flow.
Right.
So there's always that behind it.
Let's think about a certain group of people, your investors. Are you going to IPO in the next year?
So one of my investors happens to be sitting in the front. He's a big fan of the IPO, came in very early.
Yeah.
I would never want to do the math on his position.
That might be why he's smiling.
But that's why he's smiling. See that big smile? Here's the commitment, I believe, between investors and entrepreneurs. If as an entrepreneur I chose to come to you and raise money from you, I have now committed to you to make you money in return. It's no more a question on, am I going to monetize for you? I have to, because I took money from you. If this was our next business and we funded it ourselves, then we can do whatever we want and not give any answers. So if you're asking me, am I and are we as a team committed to monetize not only for our investors, but also for our employees? The answer is 100%. Is an IPO next year the perfect answer? We're going to ask ourselves what's best for the employees, what's best for the members, and I guarantee you that's what's best for both of them will end up being best for the investors.
And just to piggyback on that, how seriously we take it, we did have a failed business or two before this.
Sure.
When we made some money personally.
I think all those laughs.
All
those
okay,
laughs.
She said one or two.
I was only around for
three or
one.
four.
I heard a lot of entrepreneurial chuckles right then. Okay. Yeah.
So when we personally made some cash, we actually paid back the investors out of our own money. That's how much we care, that we don't want to lose anyone money. We don't want that on us.
She means all the old investors that
Yes,
invested in the
not
past.
WeWork, past companies.
First thing we did was pay back to past investors.
So
Yeah.
I hate to press you, but are you
Go ahead.
Are you going to IPO or not?
Ever?
You went like this.
You mean ever?
No,
I
no,
said
in
no.
the
I
next
promised
year,
you.
in the next 2 years,
I promised
in the
you
next 5 years.
I promised you a monetizing event coming. I just didn't guarantee. It's not the only way to make money in the world to.
No, well, that's
public.
why I asked, because we talked a lot about the markets and how difficult it is, and a lot of companies are holding back.
I'll give you. I'm not going to give you the full answer. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you going to apologize about choosing us as one of the 3 unicorns to bet against? And then after your answer, I'll give an answer.
I'll stick to my bets. All right, let's go to audience questions. Does anybody have a question for the Newmans? Yes, way up here in the front. Thank you so much with these very snazzy glasses.
So I've been to a couple WeWorks. I went to the We Live in Lower Manhattan a month or two ago. My sense is pretty much everybody has a month-to-month lease at WeWork. So tell me, what does it look like in a recession? Like, what's the scenario of a 2008 or 2001 type recession? What happens, to both sides of the business, residential and commercial?
So 2 sides of answers. First of all, We Live is actually, even though there is day-to-day, week-to-week, and year-to-year, the one that you saw is about 80% year-to-year. So a lot of the We Lives are going to be much longer commitment. So let's put that piece aside. But to focus on the WeWork, I would say, so we spoke about enterprise customers starting to come in, members that are larger. Those deals are actually anywhere from 3 years to 10 years, so they're not month to month anymore. The reason we do month to month is to give the flexibility for these entrepreneurs that really need it. We were early stage entrepreneurs until not too long ago. We know how important that flexibility is. That is what's most important to us. And we started an early version of this business called Green Desk. That was May of 2008 when the whole world, and with no marketing, literally zero marketing except for 5 ads on Craigslist, not only did we fill the business to 92%, it never went below that even after we sold it and with the future owner. And we found that in the recession, a lot of companies needed space because they needed temporary space, they needed to get smaller. And when times are tough, people want to be surrounded by other people. Another small addition to that, our members, 70% of them are doing business with each other. So we have a lot of staying power. Last but not least, 45% margins. We have a lot of room. And we definitely do not want a recession for the sake of the world and everything that comes with it and our members. But WeWork might be one of the companies that you're going to see actually, I don't want to say do better because we're doing very well, but do extremely well also through a recession for a variety of reasons. But thank you for
All right. Yeah, another one all the way over here. Yes.
Hi, Pat Kratos with BMO. At what point do you think We Live is going to be larger than WeWork?
Ooh, a lot of We Live questions.
Great question. I think We Live is a bigger category. I think in Maslow's hierarchy, shelter is even more important than work. Saying that, We Live is substantially more difficult to get into. The cost of entering is much higher. If you understand our asset-light model, you would know that other people are actually funding this growth, the landlords. It's a bigger commitment on the landlord to commit to We Live. When it's going to be bigger is a little bit harder for me to say, but is it a bigger category? My answer would lean towards a yes. And then from a social level, I'm going to add?
From a social level, I mean, look, this is where people are living. For us personally, there is nothing more important than home. It is infusing and informing everything we're doing at work. If the home isn't working, the business doesn't work, the kids don't work, nothing works. So what we're trying to do is create a platform for our members that's meaningful at home as well as in the office. There really isn't much of a separation anymore between life and work, especially if you love what you do, you're constantly thinking about it, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like work. And we just felt like we wanted to be a live platform for our members 24/7, and that's why we opened We Live, so that it's kind of a seamless experience between the office and the home.
There we go. I think I saw one over here. No. Okay. Oh, there's over there. All right, great.
Hi, I'm Erin Griffith from Fortune. So when you eventually do go public, would you like investors to view you as a real estate company, a tech company, or a services company? And don't say all three.
I would say neither. We're really a community company.
Are there other community companies out there, or will you be the first ever?
That's for everyone else, I guess, to determine, but I can tell you what we're focused on, which is community and enhancing human experience. So that's what we're doing. Do we use real estate? Do we use technology? Are we drawing upon everything that the world has to offer? Of course, and we're grateful. But we are a community company for sure.
We have another minute.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free.
If there's no other question, I'll say something. I see our time is running out. I'll say something. First of all, just to close the IPO discussion, there's one thing we're not afraid of is going public, just so it's clear with everybody, and it's important to say. I'll use my last minute the following. 9 years ago, I came to this country actually 12 years ago, and I had big dreams of making a lot of money. I thought I would make my money and go back to Israel because that's what I thought the American dream was. I came here and I discovered a very different dream. I discovered it's much harder to make money than I thought. I also discovered that it's not the fulfilling kind of feeling that I thought I would have. When I met Rebecca about 9 years ago, and then she was my girlfriend, I weighed about 20 pounds less than today. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I had a lot of very unhealthy habits. And even though I was a big talker, I had nothing to show for it. The first thing she told me is, you're full of shit. That was the first thing. You talk like you're all that. You literally can't even buy me dinner. She said, even though I do believe in equality between men and women, she said, it's okay if you paid for dinner one time. It's not a bad thing.
I would offer to pay being polite and he would accept, which just was completely strange for an American girl.
And she said to me, if you don't immediately stop chasing the wrong thing, actually find your passion, find what it is that makes the difference for you. Find and then take that, mix it with what you do, what you love moment, which in my case is bringing people together, and I do happen to love buildings, I don't know why. If you don't find a way to bring these two things together and really do something meaningful to the world, not only will nothing you do never really work, even if something did work, you'll never feel fulfilled. I said, my suggestion for you is drop everything you're doing, go find something real, stop worrying about the bottom line because it's not about that. Redefine success and fulfillment as something greater than yourself, and the rest will follow. I have to say I did all of that, and Rebecca, I just want to say thank you.
Adam, I love
It'd be nothing
There
without
you
you.
go. Well put.
Thank you.
And could you give it up for the Newmans? Thank you.